right. Happy Sunday, everyone, as I'm finally getting my YouTube setup correct. For some reason, it was giving me problems. So sorry if you got a couple of notifications that there was something that popped up on your screen. All right, I'm trying to see if I am live because I have a little window here and I'm just trying to make sure that I'm live before I get going. And just to let you know, there we go. Okay, it looks like I got myself live. Yep, I'm live. Great. Let me turn down my volume over here. And let's straighten everything up. Anyway, sorry about that. Sorry about the delay of getting going today. It was I've been out of town, so I spent 2 weeks in Miami, and so you've kind of not seen me come on like I was when I first started doing the Everyday You and Me layout. I'm just trying to make sure everything is straight and not crooked on the screen. Everything looks a little crooked still. Let's see if that helps. Anyway, so I didn't get a chance to finish the third layout in the Everyday You and Me scrapbooking workshop. And so I did want to come and finish this layout as well. And yeah, okay, that's looking good. I think I finally got it fairly straight. So the third layout is the layout that I said I was the least excited about. I don't always like all of the designs in the scrapbooking workshop. And on paper, this one just didn't look very good. I liked the flowers. I liked how that was done, but I just wasn't fond of the punch out or the die cut piece of paper. So I wasn't sure. I was pretty confident that I was probably going to change this. And then as I started looking at it with the paper and everything on the layout, I was less unhappy with it when I actually started putting it together, all the pieces together, and taking a look at it. Now, I could eliminate these two pieces and not use these at all. It is just paper. It was part of the kit. If I don't ever use them, you know, that would also be okay. This does have a texture on it that I'm not sure comes through in the pictures very well. It's almost like a watercolor paper rough texture that is on this this piece of specialty paper die cut. One of my thoughts as I was looking at it is that maybe I might change this up and take this other specialty paper. Again, this base piece here is a specialty paper. As you can tell, it's not printed on the back. That I might take this and split it across the page. And I think that could work as well and have more pictures here. But what I didn't like is I didn't like this side. I didn't like the left side because I felt like it was just weird having that split. So these cut pieces did not work as well as, say, this cut piece that's on the right-hand side. Sorry, I dropped a picture placeholder, so I wanted to pick that up before I lost it. So I didn't really think that worked, and I did feel like the color of this was too much for me. I will say that this probably is not one of my favorite colors. I think it goes really well with the turquoisey color, the lagoon color. I do think it goes well with the darker green, but I felt like it was too much of this color. So I ended up thinking about just going back to the way that it was laid out and making some possible adjustments with these pieces, which is what I'm thinking about doing now. So I think I am going to leave it the layout the way it is. I think I might add some more pictures though to this, because I don't, having only 4 pictures to me really is not enough. So I think I can play with this and add at least 1 more picture on this side, maybe even 2 more pictures on this side, and then leave the pictures as they are on the left side as they're designed. The other thing I'm thinking that I want to do is I'm actually going to pop this up on 3D foam tape, and that's going to give me a shadow and more dimension and more interest. The third thing that I'm thinking that I want to do is I actually think I want to ink these edges, because I really feel like that will give it more depth and dimension and not feel as flat. So everything was cut. I've got all the cuts together, and if you see when I pull off this light frame on top of it, that this does not look as cohesive or as nice as when you lay the white frame on top of it. And I think that's what was missing in the picture of the layout, that I had to actually see the paper itself to be able to understand that this was a way that would elevate this layout and make it more it just drew me in more versus having it without that particular frame around it. Hopefully that's all making sense. All right, so what am I going to do? Again, like I said, I think what I want to do is I want to add some depth to this color, to this off-white color that's here. And my thought is that I don't have wild wheat. Wild wheat is not one of the colors that I have in my collection. I knew it was a color that was going out at the end of this year as far as colors, and I didn't get it as one of the Stampin' Spots from any of my paper pumpkins. So wild wheat might have been the natural choice to go with, but I actually think I want to go a little bit darker than the wild wheat. And so what I'm thinking is that I think I want to do early espresso. And I haven't tested this out, but a darker color just helps offset this and again, creating that shadow. If you don't have early espresso, mocha would also work. You could go slightly lighter if you had acorn. Acorn is a really nice complement to the wild wheat, so acorn I think would work really well. Looking at some of the other colors that I do have from Stampin' Up, I don't think that I don't like the pecan pie. I don't think that that's I don't like that combination very much. And I think that the crumb cake is just a little too light. So what I'm going to work with is I'm going to stick with the early espresso or mocha for a darker, or if you want to get something that's slightly closer to the wild wheat, if you don't have that, acorn from Close to My Heart would also work. Okay, so I need to get out, hopefully I can find this in my drawer. I need to get out one of my daubers. There we go. I'm going to use a small dauber, so I'm going to pull out my daubers. And I think I have one that might already be mocha. Here it is. So I've got a mocha. Now you could use a bigger one, a bigger brush. You could use one of these as well to cover more area. So that's another option if you have that. And actually maybe we'll try that because that looks like that's a mocha. This will make this go a little bit faster. All right, so I'm going to just shift things over so that I don't accidentally put ink where I don't want it on my layout. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just grab my ink pad, and this is lighter, this isn't cardstock. This is lighter weight paper. So again, you're going to want to be a little bit gentle with the process. Again, you're going to go in with either your dauber. I'm actually going to get a piece of scratch paper as well. And we're going to just dot. I want to see how dark we are here. And I'm going to just quickly do a little, yeah, I think that's going to work. Okay, so I'm going to just go in, I'm going to load this up, and I'm going to just gently go around the edges, just a little bit. And again, all this is getting some dimension on this piece and giving it some visual interest that you don't get from a flat piece of paper. It's like creating a shadow. Anytime you add ink or something like this to a piece, you give it some dimension, and that dimension then draws the eye in. And that's what we're going for. We're framing these photos that we're putting in this frame that came from the die cut that they created, and that's really going to help us bring the eye into those specific photos and help us with highlighting those photos. So again, you can do this with the bigger daubers, or you can do this with the little ones. This just goes a little bit faster because you've got more surface area. I'm going to have to come into these corners probably with the smaller one, just because it's harder to get into those corners. So again, just haven't put that much ink on. I kind of loaded it up to start with, and now I'm going around because you don't need that much ink to get this effect. Okay, so I'm going to pull in the smaller dauber here and try to get into those corners a little bit better. All right, so got those corners. So we're going to do the other piece as well while we've got the ink out, so that we can put that away so we don't accidentally mess anything up. Okay, so again, this piece, same thing. I'm going to just go around the edges, and I'm going to just add just a light hint of color around it. And this is going to, again, really set this off a little bit more against that wild wheat background. I do have to say that this is a paper pack that I really, really like. These colors overall really talk to me. I really like the aquas and the blues. I like the patterns that they have in this one, and I'm thinking of buying the paper pack, the DSP, and creating some more layouts with this. I'd be curious if people might be interested in that. If I did that, if I went ahead and just took the paper pack and the cardstock pack and created 3 additional layouts, if that would be something people are interested in. I'm trying to gauge whether or not I should start a scrapbooking club and taking the DSP and paper packs and one featured stamp set and die set, if people would be interested in joining a club like that. So if that's something of interest to you, I'm thinking of making 3 layouts, 3 2-page layouts, so six pages total. Let me know if you're interested in that. If that'd be something that you'd be curious about. Not sure price point at the moment. I would like to try to keep it around the $30 price point for the actual layout, papers, cutting, providing those, and then you would buy the stamp and die set on your own, is a thought. I'm still trying to figure out what the market is looking for, I guess. So anyone has any thoughts or ideas, feel free to leave them below. Okay, all right, so now that I've done that, hopefully you can tell just by looking at this now that that little bit of color is adding some dimension to that piece and letting it stand off of the background paper even more. All right, so we are going to work on this left-hand side to start with. So we need to gather, a few more pieces from our die cuts that are part of this layout. So for the left side, we have some inking as well that we need to do. So remember, we had the pecan pie, which I said I didn't think I liked with this, but I think it was because I don't like it right up. I didn't like it as a frame for this piece. I wanted it to be darker. So we've got the dies, the flower dies, so we can pull those out here so we can get those inked up. So it looks like we have a big one here, and we've got a smaller one. Looks like that one. And then it looks like we've got a leaf. So it looks like this guy here. And I think that is it for the die cuts on that side. But let's flip this over and look at the other ones because we have to do some inking, I think. And so let's pull all the die cuts out. Okay, so on this side, we have this one. Again, trying to get that, pop that guy out without tearing it. And then we've got the more open leaves. Did I use that one already? Looks like I might have used that one on another layout. Okay, so we will adjust because we've got plenty of die cuts left. Okay, so let's go ahead and pop out these 3 leaves here, and we'll use these guys because they're the same style. And we'll grab this smaller guy here as well. Okay, so we'll grab that. We've got a heart that we need, so we'll grab that guy out. And then down here, it looks like it's this one right here that they've put in, so we'll grab that. So you can notice we actually have a number of pieces left that we can use on another layout with the leftovers that we had. Okay, I think that was all the die cuts that we needed. So we're going to start with that, and we're going to go ahead and ink these guys up. So we'll grab our paper again. That one we don't need. So we're going to just grab our paper again, and the ones that we need to ink up are the tips of this one. So the tips of this one, we're going to ink that up. We're going to ink up these leaves, and we are going to ink up the flower buds on that one. So all those are ones that we're going to ink up from this part, and then we're going to ink up the larger flower as well. So let me grab my daubers again, and I think this was the color we used. We're going to grab the pecan pie because that's the color that was recommended. Now remember, all of these things I'm showing you right now are extra. You don't have to do these. This is an extra technique that was suggested, but you don't need to do it. Okay, that's one thing I want you to know. These are optional. All right. So again, if you just compare the two, that's the one I just inked up versus the one that is uninked, just so that you can see the differences there. Okay, so we're going to go in and do the flowers here. Trying not to get it too much on the leaves themselves. Get a little bit on the edge there, see if I can get that daubed. All right, so there's that one, and then we've got these leaves. So has anyone else put these layouts together? Just curious if anyone has bought this particular scrapbooking workshop, and if so, did you do the layouts, or are they sitting in your to-do pile? I do find that I end up with more to-do piles than I want, so one of my goals this year is when I get these, I'm trying to work my way through them, even if I don't necessarily have pictures to go on them. Okay, so we've got those inked up. We'll set those aside for right now, and we will start our assembly. Okay, so assembling. As I said before, we have a lot of dimensions that we get to work with. So I'm going to put this one off to the side so that I can bring this one over here and work with it. Okay, so we're just going to take all these pieces off. And like I said, I think I want to pop up this frame to start with. So that's the first, I want to pop this up, but I have to lay down my strips first. So let's get our placement for our strips to start with. So when you look at this, these strips are laying underneath the frame. So the first strip is going to be 1.5 inches up from the bottom. So that's where we're going to do our first placement, which is this strip. And I'm going to get, nope, that's an empty one. There's always an empty one on my desk. So we're going to just put this on our mat, and then we're going to do our measurement up 1.5 inches from the bottom of the page. So 1.5 inches is going to be right here. And the thing I love about mats like this is I am not a very, I tend to not lay things very straight. I don't know if it's just the way my eyes work, or anyway, I'm not very good at that. So this actually helps me make sure that I get things straight. All right, so then we're just going to lay our pieces here right up against each other, so we don't have to do too much measuring on this one, because these are just going to butt up against each other like so. Like so. Okay, so now we got that. Now we can work with our frame, and I'm going to go ahead and get some 3D foam tape here. And I am using tape, I'm not using dimensionals. This is actually rather wide. This was some leftover that I had from the dollar store. And this is the wide version. So I think I'm going to just cut this in half using my non-stick scissors. I do recommend non-stick scissors when working with foam tape. It just makes it so much easier. It doesn't stick nearly as bad, and you don't have to clean your scissors as much. All right, so we're just going to lay this down like so. And again, my goal here is I'm trying to give it some more, what do I want to call it? I just feel like it needed something else, some dimension. I like dimension on my pages. If you don't like dimension, that's fine. That's not a problem. Just adhere this piece down. again, the idea is that I think we can get intimidated by all the fancy designs of that you might see out, and it doesn't have to be complicated. I am taking it one step above, but the designs that either I create for that club that I just mentioned, or the designs that are done through these workshops, they don't have to be complicated. You can use them just as they are designed and not do any of the special techniques or any of the extra things that you see me doing in these lives. This is just to help get your creative juices going and seeing what you can do if you choose to. Again, if you don't have the supplies, that's fine. Just use what's in the kit, right? So that's my 2 cents. You know, you want to enjoy your crafting time, not make it stressful. And if you have to have too many supplies, or it takes a lot of effort for you to get things going, then that's the first thing that's going to make you not want to work on it. You'll find something else to do, or you'll procrastinate getting everything out. I know that happens to me sometimes. So you are not alone if you feel that way. So I got a couple of little spots here where I didn't quite make my strips long enough. So again, we're just going to cut a couple of pieces to fill in, because I don't want this to fall apart, or I don't want to have a space where it might be pushed down. So I'm going to just take a couple more of these, cut them up just to fill in, like so. Maybe just one more here, and we should be good. Okay, so now we've done that, we'll peel this off, and the hardest part of this is going to be getting it to lay down. I will be honest, that's going to be the hardest part, because we want this to be even across the page, right? We don't want to, we need it to hit all of the edges. So honestly, with the foam tape, this is going to be the hardest part. If I didn't put the foam tape, I might use liquid adhesive, depending on how good you are with that. But you also have a little bit of flexibility when you use the tape runner to be able to pull it up and adjust it if you don't get it right the first time. So that's going to be the only tricky part with this. And worst comes to worst, if we don't get it right, we'll trim off the visible edge, because again, no one's going to know that it's not a true 12 by 12, but you. It's going to fit in the page protector the same. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my best here to line this up down here at the bottom and not have it touch at the top. Try and get this lined up. I'm not pushing down very hard. All I'm trying to do is just get it slightly lined up. And you can tell I already did a little bit of touching there. So I'm gently going to pull that up. Luckily, the 3D foam tape from the dollar store is a little bit more forgiving than some other 3D foam tape. I think I'm going to rotate this actually so I can see better, to line this up a little bit better. Yep. Like I said, if you're gentle, you should be able to pull it up at an angle. If you do a 45-degree angle, you should be able to pull it up. I'm not getting it quite right. Like I said, this was going to be the hardest part of putting the foam tape on this versus just doing straight adhesive. So I'm just trying to do my best to get these edges lined up. And we may just say we're going to call it because it's not wanting to do what I want it to do. We're just going to do what it's going to do, and we will adjust the page as necessary. Okay, let's see here. Lay that guy down straight. Like that. Okay, I think we're going to call that good. You can see I have a little bit of an edge right there that we can trim off if that bothers us. I actually don't see it very much when I'm looking at it straight down. It's only when I'm looking at it sort of from the side. So I actually think that we're okay, even though we're not exactly straight. But again, you can see by just adding that little bit of dimension that we get that shadow line, which gives it even more interest in my mind, the way I like look at it. All right, so now that we've got that down, our next step is that we have our photographs and our embellishments. So we're going to go ahead and take our photographs here, and we are going to use the light side of this. What color is this one? I can't remember what color this is off the top of my head. Do I have the piece of paper here? I don't. Is this like Lost Lagoon? This might be Lost Lagoon. It's not Pretty Peacock. Pretty Peacock is the darker teal color, so I think this is Lost Lagoon. And then this strip here is going to have the two 3x3s. Now, you could change this if you want and put a 3x4 on this and then put a journaling block underneath it so that you have space for journaling. I think there's plenty of journaling space on the other side, so that's really up to you how you want to do it. So these are the 3x3s. And I actually want to angle these. I want to create a little bit more interest. So I'm actually not going to do a straight up and down. I'm actually going to do a slight pivot, a slight angle. All right, so now we're going to add our sticker. So the sticker that we're going to use is You and Me. So this is, again, a nice big sticker title. I am not going to pop this one up because I've already done a lot of things that are popped up. And right now, what I want to do is make sure, okay, we're going to shift these up and we're going to put this, actually, you know what? I am going to change my mind because I don't like it flush. I feel like it needs to have some more depth. So I'm, again, taking my anti-static pouch and taking off most of the sticky, and then we're going to add some foam tape to this. Sorry, changing my mind. When I create, I do this all the time. Hopefully you do too. Sometimes you need to look at something and then make a decision on whether or not it makes sense. All right, so we are going to put this down first, and then we can put our photos where we want them. So I am just trying to center this as best as I can in this space, like so. And sorry, I'm gonna pop these up too. I know. I go through a lot of 3D foam tape, which is why dimensionals don't work as well for me, because I like a lot of dimension on my layouts. They're going to be sitting in a page protector. I want them to stand out. So yeah, the photos are the stars of the show. The layouts are really just pretty paper to help them stand out. So lots of 3D foam tape gets used in my craft room. All right, so let's get these down. We're going to put the big one down first, and then I'm going to overlap the smaller one just slightly on that. So I'm going to, I think I'm going to put that one there. And then I don't want it to be on the same, I don't want it to be the same level. I want it to either be a slightly higher or slightly lower. So I think this one we're going to do just slightly higher. All right, so now we can bring in our other embellishments. So we've got the two rose type flowers over here. And so we're going to just add some adhesive to the back of this one. And we're going to place that right there. And then this one is going to sit on top of this. So I'm actually just going to put some adhesive on one side and lay it on top of this sentiment. Okay, so then on the right side, we've got what looks like a sticker. So we're going to take this sticker here. We need a leaf from the punch outs. So another one of these leaves from the punch outs. And then we need the, which one? This one right here. So we need this die cut. So these are all pieces that are going to go. And I'm going to change this a little bit. They have this all sitting on top. I'm actually going to put the leaf behind because I popped up the sentiment. I'm going to put the leaf behind. And when I do that, I'm going to just do the individual leaves, but I'm going to make sure that I don't put any adhesive on this one that's going to overlap this photo. So we're going to do adhesive on all of them, all the leaves except for that one little piece for that one leaf that's going to be on the overlapping that photo. And we're going to go like that. Okay, so I think that looks good. Then we've got our other piece here, which we're going to lay on top of that, like so. Again, underneath. And then this sticker doesn't look like we're going to need to put any 3D foam tape. So we're just going to lay that just right there on the edge there. And now we've got that all done, that left side all done. So now that that side's done, we're going to work on the right side, and then we are going to be finished with this scrapbook layout kit. Okay, so we're bringing in the right side, and we've got one photo, we've got our paper, and then we've got a bunch of embellishments again that we're going to be using on this one. And so the question is, do we add more photos to this? This does have a lot of embellishments now that I'm looking at it. So if I add another photo, I will have to change that a little bit. And let me just see what I have left for mats. So, you know what? I am going to leave it as is. I'm going to change my mind again. even though it's only one photo and I don't typically do a page with one photo. I could probably add another smaller photo up here in the corner, but because it's got so much embellishment down here at the bottom, it's going to take away a little bit from it and take away our journaling spot if I make that change. All right, so this piece I'm actually not going to pop up. I am going to leave this one flat, so we're just going to go ahead and add our adhesive here. Like this. And dimension wise, we want to be 3/4 of an inch from the left hand side. So we're just going to line this up and make sure that we're all straight in our grid here. Or semi-straight. And then we're going to come over 3/4 of an inch. And we are going to be 3/4 of an inch down and 3/4 of an inch in. So 3/4 of an inch down and 3/4 of an inch in. And we're going to the points. So you want to be looking at where those points are landing. I feel like this is a little too high. I need to come down just a little bit more. Again, I could bring out my T-ruler if I wanted to, but I think that looks good. I think we're good there. All right, so now that we've got that, we're going to put down our striped paper, and that is going to be 1 1/4 inch from the left-hand side, so the far edge of the paper. So we're going to go 1 3/4 of an inch, and then it's 3 inches down. So 1, 2, 3. So 3 inches down. So it's not in the center. 1, 2, 3. 3 inches down. So at the 9, and then 1 3/4 here. So that looks about right there. Okay, so now that we've got that, then we can do our photo. Like so, on our mat. And this I am going to pop up. Okay. And the photo is 3 3/4 in from the right and 2 1/2 inches down from the top. So 1, 2, 3 3/4, so it's roughly right here. And then 2 1/2 inches down. So that would be 1, 2 1/2. So roughly about here. Two and a half. 1, 2 1/2, roughly there. 1, 2, 3 1/4. Okay, that looks pretty good. So right about there. That's where that's going to go. All right, and now we just have all of the embellishments. So again, this one has quite a few embellishments that you can see here. So we're going to start with the punch outs, and we're going to grab our flowers and our leaves that we need. And we're going to punch out the centers, I think, of... I will leave those for now. I can't tell if I'm supposed to punch out the centers or not. Let's grab the 3 flowers. And then we need one of these leaves. Looks like we have an extra leaf that we didn't use. We'll use that on another layout. And then our last flower here. Okay, so we'll put that aside. And then we need, from these, we got these 3. We got the largest one, and then a middle and a small. And then we're using some of the stickers. So we're putting the heart, the flower, and the other heart. So let's just look to see if, Yeah, I think we're supposed to leave those centers in because, oh no, they actually are showing white. So we will punch out these centers. Okay. Punch out those centers. All right, so that means we've got to figure out what we need to pop up and what we don't. So we're going to leave that sticker there for now, because we are going to have to add some dimension to these guys for them to pop. So we have to get out our scissors again. We're going to add some strips of 3D foam tape. Now I want to make sure that anything that's going to overlap the picture, that I don't put foam tape on. So I'm going to just take a couple of strips. Now dimensionals would work great for this. So this is where smaller dimensionals would be really, I might actually move to a dimensional because it might be faster than me cutting. Let's see if I've got any handy here that I can use. Do I have normal size ones? There we go, normal size. I didn't want the minis. Minis will take too long. Actually, maybe I do want the minis because those aren't very big. Let me grab those. Let's see. Put those off to the side. Grab some of these minis here. Because it is oh so much fun to watch me put foam tape on things and take off the backing of it. All right, so anyone have any questions about this scrapbooking kit? I'm happy to answer them. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to make sure that I'm not, okay, it looks like I can put onto those two. I can put these guys. You can always put you can always put on the dimensions and just not take off the backing. So I think I'm going to do that just so that they stay up. And I'm just not going to take the backing off of these guys. I'm going to only take the backing off of the other ones. Anyway, I was just curious if anyone had any questions about this particular scrapbooking workshop that I might be able to answer. Also still curious if doing a scrapbook club would be of interest to anybody. Getting 3 layouts, 2-page layouts, based off of a stamp and die and a DSP. And if that would be something somebody's interested in. I'm trying to work out the details, but I'm also just trying to gauge whether someone would be interested in joining a club, a monthly club, to do that. My thought right now is that I would get the papers together, get those mailed off to you, and then I wasn't supposed to take dimensionals off of that. I was talking and not paying attention. So now I'm going to have, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of these pieces that I had left, and I wasn't supposed to take the dimensionals off of these guys. That's okay. We will make this work. Anyway, if anyone would be interested in getting pre-designed layouts that aren't the scrapbooking workshops that are put together by Stampin' Up, but would be interested in getting maybe something at a slightly cheaper price, would not include stickers, would be the die, would be mostly the paper packs and the designs that I come up with. And if you'd be interested in a monthly club, my thought was also that I would create a video or we could do it as like a scrapbooking retreat via via YouTube. So I would pick a day, an evening, or a Saturday, and we would put the layouts together. So don't know if that's something that that people would be interested in at, say, a slightly cheaper price point than these kits are, because we wouldn't be using the stickers. We would just be using the paper packs and the cardstock packs, and then a stamp set with a die is a thought. But again, looking for feedback on whether or not that's of interest to anybody, because I like the idea of designing, but I'd like to do it in a club, and it would be, I think, maybe a little bit easier. Anyway, just a thought. If anyone has any feedback on that, or any ideas of what they would like to see in a club, I would love to get that feedback. All right, so this is the boring part. This is actually going to take the most time, is all of these dimensionals and taking off the backings. So I apologize for this boring part. Okay, so make sure that the dimensionals that I didn't take off are the ones that are going to be on my photo. And so we're just overlapping this so that, and we're also creating some up and down for visual interest. Okay, so the last one is this guy, and we'll go ahead and put those dimensionals on. Yeah, so I do think I have, at least with the leftovers of this kit, I have one more layout that I'm pretty sure I'm going to be able to get out of the leftovers. I just need to design it. So that's my next step. I didn't get a chance to do that this week. Like I said, I was out of town for 2 weeks for work, and that really, yeah, there's only so much that I can do after work, after a long work week, and when I'm out of town. I tend to shut down. It's tiring for me. So, all right, a couple more here, and we'll be able to finish this guy up. Okay. Anyway, hopefully everyone's having a great Saturday, Sunday weekend. I know I had a busy week this week, and so this weekend I went with my husband on a date night. We haven't done a date night in a while, and we went to see Cirque du Soleil, the traveling show that they have going around called Echo. And I do have to say, it was a fun evening. I really enjoyed that. If you had a chance to see Echo, I would highly recommend it. We've seen a lot of Cirque du Soleil shows. My husband really likes Cirque du Soleil from an entertainment perspective. Every time we go somewhere that has one, we tend to go see it. So so this was again a nice evening out, just the two of us, and we really I bought this as a Christmas gift for him, and it was really nice. It was a different theme than we'd seen before, so that was also nice as well. Okay, so just making sure that I'm sticking these flowers where I don't have adhesive hitting my picture, and I'm again varying the height like that. Okay, so now that we've done that, now we can add in our stickers. So again, our stickers, I'm not going to pop these guys up. I'm going to just leave them like they are. So we're just going to grab our 3 stickers and stick them in the middle here. Like so. All right, so then we have, and I think I lost it. Did I drop it? Oh no, there it is. We need this leaf goes underneath here. So we're going to go ahead and just add some adhesive to this and stick it underneath. Let's see, where do we want it? Let's lift this guy up just a little bit. Let's stick this under here, just like so. There we go. I think that's good, like that. And then we've got another sticker, the big sticker, which is really the journaling spot. So this one I'm not going to pop up either because I don't want to have to try and write on something that's popped up. And I'm not going to overlap the photo. I am going to just stick it underneath the photo. And I am going to put it at a little bit of an angle, so a little bit different than what they did. And I'm going to slide it underneath that leaf, like so. Okay. All right. So then we've got this corner up here that we need to embellish, and that, get all of my things off to the side here, that we're going to grab. Oh wait, we have one more thing to add to this little lower section here. So we're going to add this piece to this lower section, missed that. So put some adhesive on there. We are almost done, guys. This is like, we are in the final stretch of this layout and of this particular kit. Or I don't know that I'd call it a kit, it's a workshop. It's definitely a workshop. Okay, so we're gonna do that, like so. Okay, so now we're going to add our pieces up here. So we've got another sticker, loving this, and that's gonna go right here. Again, another spot to do some journaling. So I'm going to lay that down flat, and then we're going to add in our chipboard pieces here, like so. And then we've got our, we're missing a leaf. We've got our 3 leaves here. So when you're laying down the leaves, always work from the largest to the smallest, because then you get your placement right. But I'm going to sort of follow the size of the leaves here. So I'm taking the 2 bigger ones, and then I'm going to do the smaller one here. And again, you could use liquid glue for this as well. All right, and then we have our little heart, if we didn't lose it, that goes up in the corner up here. And this layout is done. We are now done. Okay, so we have one title, My Happy Place, and Story of Today left on the sticker sheet. And we have 1 leaf left on the sticker sheet as well. And I am sorry, I just realized that my cord was dangling through this whole video. So not sure if that, yep, it's being seen. I apologize. I just realized that was happening. Hopefully it didn't block the view too much. Anyway, so we have 1 die cut, we have 2 stickers left, and then we have this paper left that you can see here. This is all the paper we have left. So I definitely have enough there to do 1 more layout. Oh, and we also have our chipboard dies. We got a lot of those left, so we can do something fun with that. So I think we've got definitely enough to do 1 more full layout that I will design this week. All right, so here is the final layout, the 3rd layout in the Everyday You and Me scrapbook workshop. And let's pull in the other 2 layouts that were from this that we've already done. So all of us together, this was layout number 1 of the workshop. And then layout number 2 was Enjoy the Moments. And let me just double check my colors again. Lost Lagoon. Yes, I was right. Lost Lagoon. All right, so these are our completed layouts. Hopefully you got some ideas about how to elevate them with just simple things like 3D foam tape. and the inking techniques that were part of the workshop kit itself, and that you will go and play with your paper and try to recreate these. Even if you don't have this particular kit, all the layouts except for probably this one, you can recreate just using paper you have. So again, remember that these are ideas that can be leveraged and can be used for all for other paper packs and other designs. All right, everyone, thanks for joining me today. And like I said, I hope to be back next week, and we will be playing around with the scraps that were left from this scrapbooking workshop to create one more 2-page layout. Have a great Sunday. Enjoyed seeing you guys today, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.